Oh, hello everyone. Tashidele. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome back to the Lojong teaching. So before we start the teaching, we take a few moments to do some practice together, recitation of some powerful mantras, dedicating to the world peace, dedicating to those living beings that who are suffering from COVID, who are suffering from natural disasters, who are suffering from political reasons, and including those of who pass away, in particular in last 49 days. And sadly, just within last 2 days, yesterday to up today, one very compassionate family able to rescue 5 fresh newborn kitten who unfortunately the mother disappeared, or maybe mother passed away, or don't know, and was very, very seriously got attacked by maybe like insects or diseases or whatever. So the family tried to rescue them and care for them, but unfortunately one after another they pass away. So it's very, very saddening. Yeah, then there are also people that who to whom that we all you and me know that who pass away, and also those who requested prayers, like such as Lim Hai Tan, MK Menon, June Marie, Nyon Tai Kai, Nyon Tai Kang, Chan Tai Hong, Nyon Tai Moi, Nyon Tai Tham, Chu Ben Zi, Nyon Ben Nam, Pur Sa Kai, Xiang Xiu Sheng, Garrison Chang Shi Shu, Te Yik Cheng, Chi So Chung, Lu Yong Kan. Then also those people who are having serious health issues, or going through health difficulties, such as Nyon Tai Tang, Suki, Harban, Lee Xiu Mei, Albert Einstein Road, and Dawn, and Chris Price, Davids, Geshe, Rachel, etc. All the rest of the others that who have submitted, and there's quite a lot of names, so I won't read all of them. So dedicating for all of them, and also you individually may be aware of specific people, specific places. They are going through difficult times. So keeping those in heart, and right this very moment, as we know from the news, there's so much adversities are happening in this human world. So to purify them, we dedicate this practice on the basis of setting up proper refuge and altruistic attitude. Sangye Jodan Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Gazonje, Daji Zoye Besonamje, Dola Penjere Sangye Drubarajo, Sangye Jodan Zoye Jonala, Janju Bado Dani Gazonje, Daji Zoye Besonamje, Dola benje sanje dubrajo, sanje chetan soje chonan la, janjo bado dane jazunje, daje jinso jebe zonamje, dola benje sanje dubrajo. Gange doze ne zone dawa damje bambeje dambeje ne denje be wadam lela chaze lo, tonye nyeje sondo jube lama, seje senje kanje dendunge, chanam be mo denze jazo. Sowa devzo da ju jinje lo simje tamje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju je simje tamje dunga dang dunga je ju dang dawa ju je simje tamje dunga mebe dewa dang mi dawa ju je simje tamje nyire cha dang nye dang dawa tanyo la nebra ju ro je simje tamje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju je simje tamje dunga dang dunga je ju dang dawa ju je simje tamje dunga mebe dewa dang mi dawa ju je simje tamje nyire cha dang nye dang dawa tanyo la nebra ju ro je simje tamje dewa dang dewe ju dang demra ju Zemje damje donga dang donga je ju dang dawra ju je zemje damje donga me be dewa da me da wa ju je zemje damje nyire cha da ni dang da be da nyo la ne ba ra ju ro je cha dong go lo je be ja bo na je na ga wa za be za je do ga la ga de la de be zon ba je re ze ma jang ze lo Om mani be me hum, 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 om mani be me om mani be me hum, om mani be me hum. Om mani be me hu, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de hu, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de hu, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de hu, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de hu, omo a hung benzer guru be ma se de. Oma benzer guru bema zedi o mi me zeve derjen jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe yang tu po male jumze sanwet kanje jembe zojen zonga ba lo zan da be shamla so wa de mi me zeve derjen jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe yang tu po male jumze sanwet da kanje jembe zojen zonga ba lo zan da be shamla so wa de Mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de Mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de Mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa de mime zeve de jere ze teme jembe ombo jambe ya de boma le junze zanwe da kanje jembe zuje zonga ba lo san tabe shan la zo wa Om dare do soha, 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 om dare do soha. Om dare do re zo ha dayata om be ganze maha be ganze ranja samunga de so dayata om be ganze maha be ganze ranja samunga de so ha dayata om be ganze maha be ganze Ranja zamonga de zo daya da mo be ganze ma be ganze ranja zamonga de zo ha daya da mo be ranja zamonga de zo daya da mo be ganze ma be ganze ranja zamonga de zo ha daya da mo be ganze ma be ganze ranja zamonga de zo Dayada omo ganze maha ganze raja samunga de zoha. Dayada omo ganze maha ganze raja samunga de zoha. Omo mare zeman zoha, omo mare zeman zoha, om mare zeman zoha, om mare zeman zoha, omo mare zeman zoha, omo mare zeman zoha, omo mare zeman zoha. Daye jawa tamje da kemra ye la zambe de dini ge me ze joro do bala me chinje lo da ja chung me je ze lo do jo me che yang das semde ze me le jo me je ba go le nyu do jab do zo jawa de nyu do ta wo ze je ma do jo je do wa chi ja ma le ba de za la go ba ra e sho semje ne ba ji ne ba nyu do ne le ta jo je do ye ne ne ma le ba ta do jo wa me ba ra Pama zemje damje denda dengyo je ngero damje da do do wa da janjo zemba kana sujo ba de da kunje ma lam do je jambe pa we je dra je ma da kundo zambo de ya de je de da kunje je so da lo je jawa de da damje rab do de so je be jawa damje de ngo kana ju do ngo ba da je we za wa de we ja zambo je rab do ngo ba ra je be dan zo wa mi ge be je no bo pa zamje semje ra wa kunde Samba Chujin Dube Dajijo Nimondele Zendele Nime Goyan Dele Jini Zeda do Dele Bekunjo Sumje Dashi Yo. Okay, thank you very much. Oh yeah, so now we are still studying the classic texts from the Lojong collections. And at this stage, we are studying Dhammarakshita's mind training teaching titled The Peacock's Neutralising of Poison. The peacock roaming in the jungle of virulent poison. If you are using the same text, same kind of volume, then this is today's session is on page 166, and we will start from verse 66, which is within this the last chapter, the chapter 5 of this text. So before we start the verse, there are cautions in relation to the church practice. As I mentioned before, the church practice is a very special, very powerful, practice in relation to Tantra, but then also similar kind of meaning that we can also practice within the common Dharma of the Mahayanic path, like such as in relation to Lojong practices. When it comes to the common path, the Lojong practices in relation to practice of meaning cutting the cutting or purifying the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude through very much through very much applications of the bodhicitta and emptiness, through different kind of meditational mind training practices, as guided, from the very first chapter, all the way up to the last verse of this last chapter. So those are the meditational guide, and in the common aspect of the practice, you can regard each and every verses, can regard as a che, means antidote to cut the self-grasping, antidote of the practice to cut the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. As in relation to the last session, where we discussed about invoking guests for the practice as a preparatory or preliminary practices, it sounds very drastic. If you relate that to the uncommon part of the Tantra, the Tantric church practice, you really need to have certain levels to be able to deal with it, because it can be quite, because the environment is quite intense, and if you are not prepared, you get scared, and you see. So usually when the real church practitioner, those who really engaging in the real world of church practice in such extent manner, then the circumstances are, as I mentioned before, at the very, very middle of the night, at the cemetery, at the fresh dead bodies are still around, using, Thai, the bone horn to make musics, etc., etc. When you are not fully, confident with the practice, it can be quite frightening, isn't it? So therefore, all these practices are can in particularly the tantric relation of practice has to be conducted when the preliminaries are well structured in your system, including receiving of proper initiation, having well understanding of emptiness, full confidence in bodhicitta practice, then and a stable refuge practice, then there's a immense of benefit that you can receive from it. Until then you may train to how to practice it, but actually to go in such extent, may not be suitable for everyone. As far as concerned with the common practice, as we discussed in the last session of the preliminary aspect, even for that, for some people, if their superstitious mind is very thick, and if they are still have not a stable refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, not sustainable refuge in Buddha Dharma Sangha, not actualize irresistible conviction and faith in Buddha Dharma Sangha, then even in the common practice, you may have trouble. You may get feared. You may believe that, you may think that by invoking all these, especially the guests from the lower realms and the spirits, etc., you may think that your prayer room will be haunted. Your house will be haunted. Like kind of you kind of bring spirits into your places. Then it may cause harm to you. It may disturb you. Etc. All this kind of thing is, all these kind of beliefs are is a misconception, and it is because of there's no stable refuge, there's no confidence in your practice. Then, even though there's no literal actual spirits come and harm you, but because of your confusion, you can get disturbed, and you start to feel that the place become a bit inconvenience, and you have a difficult to sleep, etc., etc. It's not spirit from outside there, causing all this. It's because of one's own confusion, one's own superstitious mind. That is the one that it kind of disturb our system, and which is not good, which is not helpful. Which is not helpful for the practice. It is, you see. So even in the common path, the practice of, in relation to cutting the ego, cutting the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude, in relation to this chapter, these verses, in particular the preliminary section, one really need to be ready for such practices. Otherwise, you better keep aside the preliminary aspect of inviting all those guests from the misfortune realms. You can just invite those guests from the higher realms, like Buddhas, deities, and Dakinis and the gurus. But then, from the spirit realm, all this you can put aside, until you are really ready, use like that. But this way of practice is so powerful because it directly challenge the misconceptions of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. Who is the one that express superstitious? Who is the one that fear for spirits harm? Who is the one that have no confidence in your practice? Is the false I is the one. The false I is the one that who have that kind of insecurity. So with the confidence in the teachings of the enlightened beings, in the teachings of such as the Dhammarakshita, then with that confidence, then you really go through this very extent practice. It really kind of shaken the ground, shaken the position of the false I. You see, so that's why you can see from this teaching, you can see from this, but in particularly in this text, starting from the very first chapter, Dhammarakshita, shared the first chapter of Buddha's life stories. Really unimaginable practices for our ordinary mind, unimaginable practices to the false I, but in actual actual for the selfless person, all these practices are easy, and it is so beneficial. You see. So therefore, so these are very very powerful method to really to eradicate this self-cherishing and self-grasping attitude. So like that. So in another word, the conclusion is everybody should practice according with what you are capable to. And most important thing is that we all should, in whatever level of practice we practice, the foundation, the refuge, and altruistic attitude should be very very stable. Otherwise, we may halfway give up, or we may encounter obstacles during the practice like that. Yeah. So then, so after the preliminary, so from verse 66, very much focus on the method aspect of the practice in relation to eradicate or they cut the root cause of suffering, root cause of samsara, the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude. And each verse really pith instruction, to teach us the way how we eliminate the false I and the false I and false attitude, the self-cherishing attitude. So it is a very powerful meditational guide. We can take verse by verse. We can practice, in a meditation session to train our mind. Then eventually, to able to conduct such practices in real time, in real situation. First we need to practice in meditation session to really to build the immune system of all these practices. So it says, verse 66. It says, "Listen again, O you who have gathered. Such is the severity of dark forces. Such in the poverty or merit of the unfortunate one. I aspire no more for birth in the pure land." So listen again. So it's referring to the earlier invited guest, what we discussed last session. So making kind of pledge, making commitment, telling all the respected the guests of venerations like Buddhas and gurus and deities and protectors, to really to yourself to kind of pledge. Then to the rest of the guests from the ordinary realms, for them to for them to witness such a courageous practices, so that the harmful forces also not there to cause interrupt your practice by causing obstacles to you. And there are beings that who are in need of such kind of liberator like yourself, to by seeing your commitment, their heart subdued and they follow you, they assist you, they support you. So like that. Oh, you have gathered such in the severity of the dark force, expressing with a genuine understanding yourself as a practitioner, understanding the reality of samsara, reality of the six realm of existence, which are completely filled with the dark force. Such is the such as like this our human world, savory of the dark forces. Such in the property of merit of unfortunate one, such as in this world of samsara, limitless beings who are poverty of merit, who are experiencing the unfortunate realm, like such as three lower realms, including the higher human god demigod realm, still subjected, still in the subject of samsaric suffering, and no question about the unfortunate realm of the three lower realm, which are unbelievable, tremendous sufferings. Since that is the fact, since the reality of the sixth realm state of the samsaric um, existence since it is in that fact, then how can I, as someone met the Buddha Dharma, in particular met the Lojong practice, in particular met the altruistic practice, met the Dharma of Bodhichitta, whose a sole object, whose sole motivation, sole objective is to cause liberation to rest of the numberless sentient beings, suffering sentient beings, whose sole objective is to serve the suffering sentient beings. Then how can I aspire to be reborn in the pure land? Uh, don't want to be among the suffering beings. Don't want to serve. Don't want to work for the suffering sentient beings. Don't want to be within the miserable realm. Rather, I rather my own comfort. I rather pursue pure land like Sukhavati. Including Sukhavati, as, will be unwise, which against the principle of the altruistic practice. So therefore I aspire no more birth in the pure land. So uh, so you see, so therefore as a someone whose main body practices altruism, then even no question about enlightenment. Even pure land, even pure land, or including any form of comfort even in temporary level, it shouldn't be our focus of life, our purpose of life. You see, our purpose of life is remain among the suffering being, remain among the filthy places, to be the cause of liberation of other beings from those miseries. You see, so as like what Shantideva, in the Bodhisattva Charya, like Shantideva always emphasize, as we always read about it, and Shantideva expresses something like that. So the aspiration should be something like that. As said, as long as a space remain, and as long as a sentient being remain, so long may I remain to dispel the suffering of the world. Suffering of the sentient being. You see, so the meaning of the verse 66, you can understand from this Shantideva's quotation. And this should be our motivation in our day-to-day life. If our main body practice is bodhicitta, if we take Lojong as our heart practice, then we cannot afford to run away from problem. We cannot afford to run away from problem givers. The filthy world. We cannot afford to run away from miseries, environment. We cannot run away from silent existence. Even we have a choice to be in the Sukhavati and stay away from the suffering beings. As a Lojong practitioner, we should not. How hard the situation is, how difficult the situation is. In particularly, we must be in the places where there is more difficult to tame beings, more suffering beings, we should be there to help them. Yeah, you see. So very courageous state of practice, isn't it? Then verse 67, it says, "Countless are the elemental spirit bereaved of merit. Heavy is the burden of being suffering in the lower realm. Repulsive is the conduct of those who commit evil act. So I find no joy in the place of tranquility now." You see. So earlier one is specifically focused on pure lands, like Buddha's pure realms. So this one is specifically focusing on renouncing, temporary comforts, or be comfortable in our journey of life, while we are practicing. So, so countless are the elemental spirit bereaved of merit. Countless, numberless, formless beings, in relation to the environment, the numberless, formless beings out there within the silent existence who are experiencing the poverty of merit, who are bereaved of merit, who are lacking of merit. They are like a wandering spirits. They are they are spirit in the confusion, in the lost path. In the there's no ability to understand what is to be adopted, what is to be abandoned. There's no ability to get out of the silent existence. No ability to understand the Dharma. You see. So there are so many spirits, like elemental spirits, like such as spirit in relation to 1 week, like spirit in relation to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, spirit in relation to sun and moon, spirit in relation to south, west, east, north, spirit in relation to earth, fire, water, air. There's so many unbelievable, numberless, spirits, you see, out there. Almost every single as number of atom, that many number of elemental spirits who are helpless, in the suffering realm out there. Heavy is the burden of the being suffering in the lower realm. Then, those who are in the 3 lower realms are the greatest pressure of the suffering. In the intense, heavy is the burden of being suffering in the lower realm. Can be understand the intensity of the suffering in the third realm, in 3 lower realms, like such as hell realm, hungry ghost realm, animal realm, is unbearable. Heavy. Burden of the being. Can be understood as unbearable sufferings. You see, unbearable sufferings compared to the suffering that we human experience, suffering that the God experience, demigod experience. So the suffering of 3 lower realms are unbearable sufferings, which are due to the lacking of merit, due to the karmic consequences of the past. Like what it says by following line: repulsive is the conduct of those who commit evil act. All are the result of in the past lifetime, committed unbelievable, so intense negative, so intense, like the negative karmas are committed in the most extended, complete with all the complete 4 bases when commit the negative karma, and everything, all those each bases are like absolute intense. So due to that, then the karma to experience the suffering is very much in the three lower realms, in the three lower realms, and all those are due to the, those who commit evil acts. So those are the fact. So those are the fact of the world. So since this is the fact, then I find no joy in the place of tranquility now. Since this is the fact of Mother Sentient Being, how can I try to find leisure, pleasure? How can I pursue my own happiness and forget about concerning and working for the well-being of all these, numberless sentient beings, which is absolutely unwise and which is contradictory to the principal Dharma of the Mahayanic teaching, principal Dharma of the altruistic teaching, you see. So, so therefore, one should renounce, self-interest, self-centered, worldly concerns and sensual pleasure, worldly pleasures, all should be renounced. And so this is talking about that. So I think these words can relate to what Shantideva said. May I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protector, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with the ocean to cross, a bridge for those with the rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in dangers, uh, a lamp for those without lights, a place for refuge for those who lack shelter, and servant to all in needs. So from this verse of Shantideva can understand, can understand the meaning of this verse 67. So something like that. So verse 68, easily ambush are the antidote of the childish. Powerful are the thought and the deeds of the demonic force. As there is no time for pause in this transcendent life of mine, I feel no attraction for abiding in the place of solitude. So this is very much talking about solitude, very much talking about solitude from being mindful in Dharma, solitude from practicing Dharma, solitude from being in the Dharma. You see, so it's talking about that. So easily ambush are the antidote of the childish. Is referring to the the childish here is referring to someone that who so there are a few categories we can understand. One of the interpretation can be understand childish in relation to those who have not realized emptiness, childish in relation to those who have not actualized the bodhicitta. So that's one. Another layer of understanding, another level of understanding for this word. Childish are those who are not practicing Dharma, not practicing Dharma, who do not value Dharma, who do not understand Dharma, who is weak in Dharma understanding, Dharma practice, so those can be understood as a childish, or in another understanding, childish here can refer to those who get distracted with worldly concern, those who live a life those who live a life under the guidance of eight worldly pursuit, eight worldly concern, those who those who only focus on this very lifetime's purpose of living, and those who pursue only temporary sensual happiness. Forget about the everlasting happiness of liberation. All those can be understood as a childish. So easily ambitious are the antidote of childish, meaning for such practitioner or for such people, then whatever practice, whatever antidote, to overcome suffering, overcome difficulty in life, is very fragile. It's because the practice are not really deep rooted. The practice are not really well established. Even since I've given many different example of what the childish beings are. Let's say those who have not realized emptiness, those who are not realized bodhicitta, then to solve the problem, day-to-day life problem, to overcome sufferings, or to engage in virtuous deeds, by utilizing the understanding or the practice of bodhicitta emptiness, is very fragile. It cannot, it's so difficult to have a sustainable practice, like some of you and like me. You see, like me, maybe you may not be in the childish category, like myself. You see, learn about what is bodhicitta, learn about what is emptiness, and try to meditate. Try to meditate also, but since have not realized emptiness directly, since not actualized the path of bodhicitta. So when the trouble in the life strike on you, then try to take all those trouble onto the path to enlightenment. By using the antidote of bodhicitta emptiness. You fail. You fail terribly. You see. So the practice of bodhicitta emptiness sounds wonderful when everything is all right. But when sickness strike on you, when some obstacle strike on you, whatever knowledge you have about bodhicitta emptiness seems like disappearing. Feel like difficult to transform. The negative force is so strong, so stubborn, that even you use that correct understanding is so difficult because you have not realized yet. You see. So one way of understanding is that don't continue to remain as a childish, meaning don't just full stop our practice just to get to know the practice. It's not good enough. We need to practice until we gain the realization, like such as direct realization of emptiness, and actualizing the bodhisattva's path. You see. So this is what it means. You see. Um, easily ambushed are the antidote of the childish. So not only that, powerful are the thought and the deeds of the demonic force. So on top of being so weak in our practice, uh, from there we can already understand our resistant, our protections, our immunity are very low in practice, because our merits are also very low. Our negative forces are negative. Our systems are also not purified well with the negativities. So therefore, very easy to get obstacle by the demonic forces. You see. So it's not only weak in your practice, but because of very because of not well purified our system, and because of not equipped with well accumulation of merit, then the interruption to our practice, distraction to our practice, success to the application of our practice is very obstacle to the success of our practice are very frequent, which are called as a demonic force. Powerful are the thoughts and the deeds of demonic force. You see, so the very powerful obstructive thoughts, arises in us, then bodhicitta given up. Uh, emptiness, wisdom, disappeared, and we completely kind of stuck into the very, very tight, sticky mud of hallucinations, muds of delusions, muds of confusions, muds of sufferings, misery after misery, So we can easily understand. There are so many scholars, who know all, who know almost entire 84,000 teaching, but then falls into depression. There are also practitioners that who learn, maybe who learn whole Lamrim, then go into a retreat, but then in life they go into depressions. uh, um, um, you see. Then some even receive high tantric initiation, then do a lot of retreat. Then after that, you become a bit unstable. There are people out there like that. You see. So these are the because of the resistance, the immune system of our practice is not well developed. And the purifications of our negativities are not well practiced. Accumulations of the merits are not well sustained. You see, so because of that, then powerful, the demonic forces, comes as an obstacle in our life. And in particularly here, the powerful are the thoughts and the deeds of demonic force, in particularly can refer to the demonic obstacle of the son of the god, son of the god. From the four maras, one of the mara, the mara of the son of the god, which comes in a very powerful wrong thinkings. It comes in the very powerful negative thinkings. Like an example, when someone come and harm you, and you remember the teaching from Lojong, or you remember the teaching from Dharma, to apply the antidote of bodhichitta, to generate compassion, rather than retaliation. But then you remember, then you are applying it, then suddenly, there's a negative thoughts comes in, say that, if I generate compassion to the enemy who is harming me, if I be patient to the harm giver, I think the patient may think I'm weak. So the enemy think that I'm weak. So I should retaliate. I should be more violent back, so that the enemy will run away. The enemy think that I'm powerful. So that kind of thoughts come in, is the powerful demonic force, which is called the demonic force of this son of the god. Enter into our thoughts, then ruin our cultivation or practice of patience, compassion, bodhicitta. An example, I'm just giving an example, so you can understand, you can relate to all other negative thoughts that comes in our way when we practice. So it's talking about that. So let's say that Sunday Lojong teaching, Sunday Lojong teaching. So many possible that I don't have to go live, because it's already recorded in the YouTube. I can listen later. I rather choose accept the invitation to go for coffee, or some more better beer invitation for beer at the beach side. So the class is not class anyway. It's recorded. If I want to listen, I can listen anytime later. So the thought that choosing, I'm just giving an example, okay? So choosing when, you see, having time with a beer and having time listening the Dharma, of course, listening to the Dharma is definitely much more meaningful, isn't it? Much more meaningful, isn't it? But then you have so many excuses, excuses to choose not to listen to Dharma, rather go for the beer, or just don't put effort to the Dharma. So these are an example of the powerful the deeds of the demonic force, in particularly the son of the god, influence us like that. So this is very very light thing, but then it's still it's obstacle, you see. So sometimes when we want to do our daily sadhanas, there's no inspiration, but if need to watch some movie, like there's so much excitement, but want to do sadhana, it's like, if I don't do, it's a commitment, I have to do it, so no choice, like that kind of, like, so you like, don't like, it's still just like just blah, 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 but just try to finish as a chore. There's no sense of inspiration, there's no sense of value, so this also can be this also can be the obstacle of demonic forces, the son of the god, occur in our mind. It could be, in particularly, because when we first time, when we receive the practice, we feel so inspired, we like it so much, we feel bliss, isn't it? When we first time, but then time goes by, that inspiration decrease, and it comes to a point that need to choose the worldly matter and the practice. You choose the worldly matter first. So these are all to do with, how to say, in Buddhism we regard as there's a hai bui du, is the demonic force, is like giving obstacle, so 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 this is important for us to know, and you can relate, and so in our day-to-day life, whenever we pursue virtue, whenever we pursue Dharma, whenever we practice Dharma, like in learning, in contemplation, in meditation, whenever there's sense of losing interest, sense of losing inspiration, laziness, excuses comes in, then we have to tell ourselves, I cannot surrender myself, this precious human rebirth, under the control of the demonic force of the son of the god. You see, then you don't surrender. You see, so that way, then you can able to treasure your precious human rebirth in the practices. You see, but if we don't know what's happening, then sometimes eventually it become like a normal. Then until that our practice, there's no strength of concentration, no strength of inspiration, you see. So even we practice, but there's not full advantage we're able to take it. So something like that. So powerful are the thoughts and the deeds of demonic force, as there is no time for pause in this transit life of mind. So here specifically, to understand the preciousness of this human life, there's no pause of even a moment from getting nearer to the end, to our preciousness of this life, getting closer each moment to the death, you see. So when we don't have this precious human aggregates, we loses one of the most marvelous basis where we can take the greatest benefit, the impossibility to actualize even one lifetime, this very lifetime, able to achieve full enlightenment. If not, at least able to enter into the path and actualize the qualities of the Arya path. If not, at least enter into the path and actualize those ordinary paths. If not, at least able to leave immense of deep imprint of the whole path. At least the principal path of the Dharma. You see, so all this opportunity will get lost if we don't take the preciousness opportunity now. So this line is for us to understand what we learn from Lamrim. Death is certain, time of death is uncertain. At the time of death, nothing else except the Dharma, except the virtue, the practices that we accumulate will assist us, help us, guide us, lead us. You see, nothing else. You see, nothing from the samsaric, material and the sensual things that we pursue, we like, we attach, we grasp. Nothing will be beneficial. You see, so so where the pause from this, where the pause from practicing Dharma or taking meaning of these precious lives happen is when we are distracted to the sensual objects, when we are distracted to the temporary pleasures. All these distractions are the reason to get pause from taking the meaning of our life. You see, so therefore, with the understanding of the impermanent nature of death and impermanent nature of life, then one make a commitment, one make a decision that I feel no attraction of abiding in place of solitude. Then, on the basis of that, then I have no attraction for abiding in any situation, in any time, in any experiences, which is not Dharma, which is not cultivated in here, which is can be understood, which is not practice of altruism. In another word, my being, I feel no attraction of abiding in the time, in the situation, in the places, in actions, without being in the awareness, being in the practice of bodhicitta and emptiness. So meaning I will be inseparable from the practice of bodhicitta and emptiness through my body, speech, and mind in my best abilities. So it's talking about that. So again, this verse can be understood from Shantideva's word. It says like, what need is there to say more? The childish work for their own benefits. The Buddha worked for the benefit of others. Just look at the difference. Between them. From there you can understand. Buddha actualized everlasting happiness because of he dedicated his life working for the benefit of numberless sentient beings' well-being. He lived a life. He lived a life. In the attitude of altruism because of that. Childish like myself, still in miserable realm, still suffering since beginningless lifetime because of only work for the benefit of selfish purpose. Only live a life to fulfill self-cherishing's demand. Live a life to fulfill the demand of attachment, demand of anger, demand of jealousy, demand of ego pride. Because of that, that's why look at my situation. Compare with the Buddha, where Buddha is and where I am. So we relate to ourselves. So to understand like that. Hmm? Then verse 69, foes hostile to this doctrine are numerous. Realize mystics who have gained secure ground are few. Since the appearance of the world in this degenerate age is so bad, I find no attraction for the realm of the Dakinis. So, realm of the Dakinis, uh, you can understand as a realm. You can understand as a realm of the Buddhas, realm of the deities. Mm? Mm. You can also understand that, or you can also understand the realm of the similar, like mentioned before, realm of the Pure Land. But since the Pure Land is already mentioned before, so here the land of the Dakinis, realm of the Dakinis, can refer to the enlightened realms, like Buddhahood. So four hostile to this doctrine are numerous. Uh, the obstacle to the preservation of Dharma, preservation of the Dharma are infinite. In relation to generally in the universe, then in individual's life, the obstacle to the preservation of Dharma in learning are numerous. Preservation of Dharma in actualizing realizations are numerous, as we all know. In the world, in generally in this, even though the southern world, where we're fortunate to, have occurred the Shakyamuni Buddha, then it is also the world that where all the 1,000 fortunate Buddhas will occur within the era. Then also so many enlightened beings, practitioners, like even compassionate Buddha in person, like His Holiness, came to this world. But then unbelievable forces of obstacles to destroy the Dharma. Even historically, even after Buddha came to existence, you see, like such as a established like a monastery institution, like a Nalanda, immense of hostile occurred, by other believers, by non-believers, all with the selfish thoughts, all with the ignorant, came to destroy. And from today's time, we know Nalanda University. When we go to Bodh Gaya, near Bodh Gaya, when we go to see the Nalanda University, it's just a historical, some kind of marks are there. There's no nobody is there. They're preserving the Dharma in learning and practice. Even the place completely ruined. You see, so those are signs. You see, so then even those practitioners went through such a hardship, environmentally, within the society, so much hardship. Then later, even since we are practicing Tibetan Buddhism, you relate to Tibet, where after, let's say after Buddha passed away, about 400 years time, or 300 to 400 years time, and for a certain number of many years, the Nalanda University is the place that was preserved the Dharma, most well. Then after that, for 1,000 over years in Tibet, up to today, Tibet is the place where preserved the Dharma in the most extent, most well, both in learning and extensive practices, as we all know up to today. But then we all know what happened to Tibet. What happened to Tibet, how many institutions have destroyed, how many great scholars have killed. You see, uh, one great example, the compassionate Buddha Cheresik, who is karmically, um, you know, the god or the Buddha to the Tibet, had to flee from the danger of life from his own pure land, the Podala pure land. You see, uh, so you see, so this is what he's talking about. You see, uh, mm, then even though someone like His Holiness that whose life is totally in altruism, but still there are bunch of beings that who misunderstand him, who against him. So unbelievable. This is what he's talking about. For hostile to this doctrine are numerous. And today's time, there's so many gurus whose lives are fully dedicated, for the benefit of the preservation of Dharma, which are the source of peace and happiness of numberless sentient beings and the world. Who 20, 30, 40 years of their life, they dedicate in rigorous study, renounce and give up so many worldly pleasures and dedicate with such a hardship learning the Dharma. Then after that, then, don't stay in comfort, be among the people, and teach the Dharma, practice, do retreats and practice like that. There's numerous, you see. But then still, such a great masters, in today's time, there's so many get harmed, so many get harmed, so many destroyed, so many completely, put into a position that they have no way to put their feet in the wall, just because of it against the culture, just because of it against the interests. There's so many forces, so many forces that happening around the world. You see, you see. So one great lineage holder is destroyed. There's so many. Even in the human realm, there's so many people. Their lineages are affected. You see, so the lineage blessings are affected like that. If the institutions are destroyed, so many people, affected for them to practice. Unbelievable negative forces around that there. You see, there's there's no weighing the what do you call the advantage and disadvantage, the sacrifices and the sacrifices for the greater advantage of the greater benefit to the Dharma and to the world. You see, with so many, in today's time, you can see today's time, so easy to destroy the Sangha, so easy to destroy the Lama, so easy to destroy the Dharma institutions. It become that degenerated. Is it that it become so that degenerated time? You see. So when there's no lamas, when there's no practitioners, when there's no sanghas, when there's no Dharma institutions, Dharma finished. You see, preservation of Dharma finished. You see, by knowing the current situation, there are so many people, scared to become Sangha. So many people scared to dedicate their life to the others, They rather feel be selfish, just work for themselves, isolate themselves, being beneficial in the world, so that no one, so that individual will no problem. No problem. I was literally said by some disturbed monks. You see, and they are quite learned one. They are quite learned and they have a great potentials. So they are always like a kind of like a outshining. You see, then because they're outshining, there are a lot of obstacles. A lot of obstacles, a lot of seen and unseen kind of distractions, let's say obstacles, occur to them. They become very vulnerable. You see, uh, so then after they give up the rope, they marry to to someone, then have one children. So they say three family, very happy. Three family, no one bothers us. We don't have to bother anybody. Just work and earn and feed three people. No need to think about monastery, no need to think about all sentient being. Like nobody bothers us because we don't have to be among people. Try to be kind to people, try to be helpful to people. Because when we try to be helpful to people, people start to uh, find way to harm us. There's so many negative forces, like what it says here, like that. So it's happening like that. So that's why, honestly speaking, maybe not many people will talk about like that, but there are people now. People scared to dedicate life to serve others, because when you start to serve others, so little people start appreciate them. There's so easy. How many good things out there, you don't appreciate. But one little error comes. This all entire world kind of group and smash. You see, so yeah, literally, I was told literally. I was amazed that people think like that, and think about it. It is quite true also. You see, you stay away from society, you stay away from engaging with the students, engaging with the societies. You are alone. You eat, you sleep, you shit, you happy. You see. So that's why my point saying here is, it is so important to really make sure our mind is always stay very clear, not to get haunted by the, as mentioned in the earlier verse, the powerful thoughts and deeds of the demonic force that may comes in our own negative idea, our own limited small thinking ideas, our own selfish ideas. That's very dangerous. You see, so we really need to support, the true practitioners, sanghas, dharma institutions. We really need to protect well. I think there's many previous verses talking about protecting, importance of protecting dharma, protecting practitioners, protecting institutions, isn't it? So here also, you see, so we really need to protect, and really need to yeah really need to protect. Otherwise, so easily, the dharma would be completely wiped off. So foil hostile to these doctrines are numerous. Realize mystics who have gained secure ground are few. You see, so in today's world, in today's time, you see that there's quite a number of people carry the name as a practitioner, as a retreater, as a esoteric practitioners, etc., etc. Tantric practitioners, Mahayanic practitioners, Vinaya practitioners. There may be many, but really realize mystic, really genuine yogics, genuine retreaters, genuine practitioners, who really have gained secure ground are few, means who really secure path are very, very few. So this is the situation of today's world. You see, very few. Mm? Mm. Uh, we can clearly understand that. Again, the history, the geographical history in relation to Buddha Dharma, during the early time, of course, during Buddha's time, there's so many realized beings. Then later, can imagine, during the Nagarjuna's time, all of those great pandits are initially ordinary people. Then, actualize in realization within that very lifetime, Then like 80 Mahasiddhas of that time, all these are examples. Then later go to like Tibet and many other, the Buddhist uh, places. Um, like an example, like in Tibet, the earlier Kadamba masters like Geshe Domtamba, Geshe, Chekawa, Sharawa, Langri Thamba, etc., etc., all of them uh, ordinary at the beginning, and by meeting the Buddha Dharma and by their dedication in the practice, they're able to well preserve, actualize both knowledge and the practices, many, you see. Then even later, uh, the newer time, like Lama Tsongkhapa, his disciples, and all the great practitioner from the older traditions. Then up to today, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, like Captain Lama Sobromiji, etc. There are so many, like all your spiritual gurus to whom you take refuge. All of them are example. But all these great masters are, they are very senior. You see, but now from the new generation in the new world, you see the real serious, genuine, committed, and practitioner who really secure, grounded are, uh, getting fewer and fewer. You see, so therefore we are very much come to the verge, like a border of which direction we want to take. We want to take a direction where we continue to able to preserve the Dharma, or we start to lose the control. You see, so this is our responsibility. Mm? Since the appearance of the world in this degenerated age is so bad, and on top of that, the nature of the today's world uh, is a degenerated time. You see, degenerated or degenerated. This era is degenerated, especially today's time is even more degenerated. The time is degenerated. The sensitivity of sentient beings are degenerated. Even our lifespans are, degenerated. You see, then the action that we commit to more, wrongdoings, wrong decisions, wrong conclusions, wrong actions, then our afflictions are even the afflictions are also become so degenerated, you see, where come to a how to say, um, our environment. If someone is so selfish, someone is like so uh, how to say, um, selfish, and then pursue your goal of these selfish purposes, people tends to regard as a successful, as a ambitious, as a competitive, but if someone is selfless, someone is renounced, it's like you're hopeless, you're a loser, etc., etc., you see. So so therefore this is the fact about the world. So knowing all this mentioned fact before, then I find no attraction for the realm of Dakinis. So meaning I shouldn't run away, only thinking about myself to actualize, a state of liberation, including a state of enlightenment. You see, since even actualizing state of enlightenment is for the benefit of working for the sentient being, then the sentient beings need right away your benefit. Therefore, you uh, live with the practice and live among the sentient being, among the difficult beings, to overcome the sufferings and the causes and the environment of the sufferings. You see, So he's talking about that. Then verse 70 says, now even if all the mighty ones of this universe were to raise up as my sworn enemies, I will not waver, not even a hair on my body will move. I will don armor in this realm of self-existence. Self-existence. Yeah, so this one is talking about to have the capability to transform, take misery, take self-existence, samsara, and it is environment, it is causes and condition, everything onto the path of enlightenment, path to benefit others. So now, even if all mighty one of this universe were to raise up as, my own enemy, so then I will not waver, not even a hair on my body will move. So that means my motivation, my dedication, my purpose of life, shouldn't be shaken by the commitment to work for the well-being of sentient beings, in particular those who are in the crisis of delusion, crisis of suffering. Then I shouldn't give up on them. I rather should be steadfast to committed to work for them. So this is talking about that. Even someone comes against you as enemy, or even the whole world comes against you as enemy, you will never lose your altruistic aspiration. You will never lose altruistic commitment. Is talking about that. So I will don armor in the realm of self-existence. So don armor, the armor of altruism. So you will wear the protections of bodhichitta. You will wear the protection of altruism to able to not to get affected by self-existence, not to get affected by the self-existing environment. Rather to be able to transform into meaningful cause. So it's talking about that. So, like what Shantideva said, just as I defend myself, therefore, from all unpleasant happenings, however small, likewise, I shall act for others' sake to guard and to protect them with compassion. So especially when you face difficult beings, then you care for them even greater, than ever. Like you protect them, how you used to protect for yourself. So something like that. So it's a taking vow to, so this verse is like very much constructing your mind, to take the vow of generating heroic confidence to benefit, all living beings, in particular those difficult ones. So verse 71, in place where people suffer contagious diseases and when serious epidemic threaten the entire world, I shall put on the great and powerful armor by becoming a physician or the nurse myself. Yeah, so this is, I think, can be understood, in today's, in particular this pandemic time, truly heroic, like nurses and the doctors and the frontliners, unbelievable people that we have witnessed for last 1 year or more during this pandemic, almost in everywhere in around the world, so these are really can regard, they are like the example of living bodhisattvas, you see. And if 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 ourselves individually had the opportunity to work like that, then it's truly, one should rejoice, because this is the bodhisattva's conduct. These are the bodhisattva's conduct. If we have not get opportunity to do so, then find opportunity. And if oneself put into if any opportunity arises around you, then one should remember that this is bodhisattva's practice. This is the altruistic practice. This is the dharma practice. This is the lojong practice. Then we should really engage to be out there and save the suffering beings, like those of the doctors and the nurses, how they do, the frontliners, how they do like that, so this can be understand Shantideva's prayer that may the pain of every living beings be completely cleared away. May I be the doctors and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. So this is Shantideva's prayers. This is the Bodhisattva's prayers. You see, so if at this stage, ourselves individually, we are not in that position to, or qualified, or in position, or if there's no opportunity for us to do so, then we pray. We at least aspire, and when we gather all the resources, and eventually, we're able to do so. You see, just like what aspire here. And at least we can really engage without wasting our time. Even though let's say someone is in lockdown, we are asked to stay in lockdown. We cannot be among people. But as someone who knows Dharma, then we cannot waste our time. We cannot feel that we have nothing to do. We really take the opportunity to dedicate every single moment, if possible, day to day, accumulate virtues, accumulate dharma, accumulate studies, accumulate contemplation, accumulate meditations, accumulate, mantras, prayers, practices. Then merit that you generate from then you dedicate for the sick and dying peoples, sick and dying living beings. Even though if oneself is not nurse, oneself is not doctor, we are not qualified to be out there to work for the suffering people like the doctor and nurse do. So at least what you can do, you can dedicate that. Then we pray that may I too one day become like bodhisattva doctor, bodhisattva nurses, like that, like dedicating in our time, like our being as a wish fulfilling jewel, as a wish fulfilling jewel. You see, and well, when we are healthy, when we have food to eat, when we have shelter, then all these things one should dedicate. One should rejoice the merit, and one should dedicate to all the suffering beings. We dedicate to all the sick people, all the dying people. So like that. Especially when any goodness comes in on one's way, goodness of having opportunity to accumulate merits, goodness of health, anything comes in our way, immediately think of the rest of the other suffering beings, and we dedicate. You see, so this is also one of the way to stay oneness with altruism, in our awareness. So like that. Then verse 72. When I nurture all sentient beings with the egg of kindness, if someone vexes with extreme ingratitude, I shall specially help him and generate thoughts of kindness. I shall thus wear the armor of heroic one. So whether in the society, whether in the world, whether in the family, or whether even among two persons, with your children or with your partner, you see, as a Buddhist practitioner, as a Lojong Mahayanic practitioner, our duty, our responsibility is, act altruistically towards them, be altruistically towards them, do everything altruistically towards them, like selflessly, serve them, help them, bring happiness to them, heal them, heal from sufferings, elevate them from sufferings, etc., etc. Even doing so, you get blamed by them, you get accused by them, that expresses uh, dissatisfaction of your service, ingratitude towards you in whatever way, physically, or verbally, or even, even a moment a thought arises, we should forgive, and we never should give up. We never should give up serving them, helping them, caring for them. So that's very, very important. You see, always as a living in the practice, always try to put up nice face, you see, and nice speech, and kind thoughts. So positive thoughts, so important. You see. Like what Shantideva says, may those hell it is to hate and hurt be turned into lovers bringing flowers. So something like that, people, how much they treat you badly, you always bring smile to them. You always express with a smile, reply with a smile, reply with the kind words. You see, when people give you a slap, you give them a bunch of flower. When people say bad words to you, you say thank you. uh, 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 yeah, so it's Bodhisattvas practices like that. You see, when people show moody, even how much kindness you do, if people show very moody, you still stay very positive and uplifted like that. You see, so this is a wonderful practice. Verse 73. When a ferocious man eating tigers await in the ambush and pounces on people, threatening their lives, I shall don the armor of charging without hesitation for the sake of those threatened sentient beings. So this one, is a very, very advanced extent of practices. We can only practice when we are capable. This is such a heroic practice when we are capable only. Otherwise, it's not suitable to practice. But at least we can practice in our heart, in our motivation. You see, so like what shared in the first chapter, the Buddha's life story, very much like this. When a ferocious man eating tigers, especially can relate to the tiger's story, the Bodhisattva, great-hearted, how he sacrificed to save the hungry tiger mother of eating, or harming anyone else, including her cubs. But you need to reach to that kind of level to do so. You see. Yeah, so this one can relate to the tiger's story. Then verse 74, the diverse misfortune that blanket the world like a dense jungle, such as the climate is least desire, I shall put on the armor of wearing them as a charms to help destroy the evil character, the enemy ego. For the purpose of destroying the ego grasping, self-centered ego grasping, ignorant, self-centered ego centered attitude. To destroy that, then one should whenever the misfortunes, obstacles comes in our way, like one after another, in people's lives. Sometimes, one after another misfortunes comes in our way. In such kind of or whatever unwanted things comes in our way. Our wantings are not fulfilled. What we wish is to disappear. If such thing happens, then uh, mm, one shouldn't kind of avert it. Rather, one should regard them as an opportunity to practice patience, opportunity to develop your compassion, opportunity to take the opportunity to purify our past karma. You see, and take the opportunity to take all those calamities, to develop the true altruism, which will cause the enlightenment, and by which cause enlightenment by destroying the evil character, the self-cherishing attitude, and self-grasping ignorant. So they should practice something like that. Verse 75: everything utterly useless in the universe, the turbulence of the karma, afflictions, and confusion, I shall wear the armor of eagerly embracing them to help forcibly rob self-grasping of its life. Uh, so, all the again similar to the verse 74. Uh, mm, any unwanted things comes in. All the unwanted things from the entire universe, falls onto you. Uh, all the past negative karma that which accumulate beginningless lifetime, like in one time, everything ripening up in simultaneously in this very time with the intense suffering and obstacle, then uh, uh, overwhelming with the afflictions, uh, then completely hallucinate with confusions. Uh, uh, even in such condition, I shall wear the armor, eagerly embracing them, instead of averting them, to understand each of its characteristic, each of its nature, each of its reasonings, like the reasoning of the like how the karma befall, reasoning of the how the affliction affects, how the reasoning of the how the confusion occurs. By understanding that, then by understanding that, then you embrace them to take onto the path uh, uh, as as a very forceful condition to smash, to eradicate, to destroy the very concrete, the root of all those calamities, all those karmas, afflictions, confusion, which is the self-grasping of it is life force, to destroy from the root the life force of the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. Take all those things as a condition to actualize that. It's talking about that. Okay, so I will stop here. Then from next class, the next class will be the last class for this text, which very much I think emphasize on the wisdom aspect. Yeah, so we will stop here. Okay, so we will do short dedication. Yeah, so so whatever merit that we accumulate collectively from this session, and whatever merit individually collected in the past, present, and plan to accumulate in the future, all the merit that we rejoice, the merit of Buddha, past, present, future Buddhas, bodhisattvas, arahats, gurus, virtuous beings. All these collective merit be complete cause for numberless sentient beings to purify oceans of samsaric suffering. It is causes karma and delusion, and actualize from temporary happiness after the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause, this pandemic to be overcome, and all the cure be most effective, and all the negativities, from this pandemic, the fear, the suffering, the grief, everything, purified. May this collective merit be complete cause. Anyone who passed away, and including those of who passed away in the last 49 days, and also those people's names, including the 5 kittens that mentioned before. Free from the suffering of death, the suffering of intermediate state, suffering of rebirth, and actualize higher rebirth in the Amitabha Pure Land, Charity Pure Land, and within that very lifetime, actualize state of full enlightenment. May this collective merit be complete cause. Mm, the suffering, the adversity in the world, the natural disasters, the political crisis, different form of diseases, different form of problems and obstacles, suffering that individual go through, everything overcome, and the world be in peace, and the people enjoy the meaning, peaceful, happiness, virtues accordingly. May this collective merit be complete cause for all the world leaders, leaders of the organizations, leaders of the family, and yourself who lead your life, be free from all the negative emotions, and actualize all the wisdoms of selfless and attitude of loving kindness, compassion, so that anyone under their leadership can able to enjoy only peace and happiness and virtue. May this quality merit be complete cause. All the good people who are the cause for the peace and happiness of the world and sentient being, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, all your spiritual gurus, and all the people who are working for the peace and happiness of the sentient being, including like those of frontliners, who are everywhere, who's saving those in needs. Uh, then yourself, your family members always enjoy good health, a long life, prosperity, fulfill all your wishes accordingly. May this quality merit be complete cause. All the virtuous institutions like nunneries and monasteries and epidemic centers and Dharma centers, uh, all the epidemic centers in Australia, and study groups, and including your prayer, your libraries, your prayer rooms, and all the conducive conditions for your practices. Be free from inner outer city obstacles. Actualize all the conducive conditions to preserve the virtue, Dharma, the practices, and more extensive learning, and actualizing all the stages of path, or stages of realization on the stages of path accordingly. Or may this collective merit be complete cause. May we able to practice as according with the Lojong teachings, and be life most beneficial for the cause of numberless sentient beings, temporary happiness after the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. Then may this collective merit be ourselves, the merits and the purpose we dedicate, all lies in the nature of interdependent arising, all lies in the nature of emptiness. So while I recite some of the dedication prayers, please do your personal dedications. You actualize by dedicating together here. You actualize the collective merits and prayers together, and through your channel of your dedication, then you dedicate to your specific purposes that you want to make dedication. Then that will going to be very, very powerful, very, very effective. So you do that, okay? Jawadi Nudo Lama Sanje do you ne do waji yamale de zala gobara jo janjo semjo rimbo jema je banam je je jawanya ba me ba yang gone gondo pe jo tonye tawa rimbo jema je banam je je jawanya ba me ba yang gone gondo pe jo le mie tawa rimbo jema je banam je je jawanya ba me ba yang gone gondo pe jo pama semje dam je den dan de je nge do dam je ta do tong wa da janjo semba kana su jo ba ande da gwenje molam do je Jambe Bawa Jeta Jambatan, Kondo Zambo, de Antishinje, the Takunji, the Logi, and Jawa, the Tatamje of Dongo, the Zonchebe Jawa, Tamje, the Ngo, Galajudong about the Taji, Zawa de Gunya. Zambo Jera Dongo, Warai, Karira, Kowe, Shingam, de Pendan, de Wamali, Juene, Jeres, and one thing in Yazoi, Shabesi, the Pato, Denjuch. Tozo Janje Jango Jave Den, Zijon Bebe Gondo Doboje, Chozo Gowe Leme Totoba, Dazo Doje Gondo Shab De Jo. Jawa Gondo Yanda Lama Dan, Jame Jeje Bela Lonjo Je, Sada Lamji Yonde Rabzone, Doje Janje Gomba Nyu Do Jo, Chezo Lame Kuze Rabdenje, Namba Tele Jojo Jemba Dan, Bosan Tebe Tome Sazon. Joe Mose Dardo, Yen Joro, Jumde de Deja Bata Jumbayan, the Bazo Besan, Yanamana, Jabola Charles, or Janjo Bajimukundo Sambola Charles. Tayada on Bezadi, our Budani, so how Omoduro Zayamajiso, Tayada on Bezadi, our Budani, so Omduro Zayamajiso, Tayada on Bezadi, our Budani, so Omduro Zayamajiso. Dayada on Bezadi, our Budanis, or Omduro Zayamajiso, Dayada on Bezadi, our Budanis, Omduro Zayamajiso, Dayada on Bezadi, our Budanis, Omduro Zayamajiso. Dayadon Bezadi, all Budanis, Omduro Zayamajiso, Dayadon Bezadi, all Budanis, Omduro Zayamajiso, Chubde de Jabada, Jumayan, the Bazubezan, or the Molan, the Gerado de Javola, Chado, Chubde de Jabada, Jumayan, the Bazubezan, Minjana Bidu, with Javola Chazam. Menjo Zeje Jave Jelanda, Dendelua, maybe the Batan Tajilazanda, Bedu, Jenamda, maybe Negun, Drop Joro, Bedanzo, Amiga, Beijing, the Bobas of Yesimjera, Wako, the Samba Children to Betajish. Temba Jede comes to Jamba, the Temba, Nivation to Zawa, then the Boloshin to Temba, Temba, Ure, never Taji, Nimondele, Sendele, Nimeko, and Telejin, Zetato, Delebe, Conjo, Sumye, Tashi. Okay, so thank you very much. Please take good care of yourself and take good care of each other. Take care. Bye bye.